Welcome back to Awesome Possum Hobbies and Games. I am Chris, and this one's a little bit late. This one is a commander deck from Murders at Karloff Manor. This is the Blame Game. Let's go ahead and open it up, see what's inside, and see if it's worth buying. Let's go! Here we are with a sort of new Murders at Karloff Manor commander deck. This one is the Blame Game. I did not pick this one up earlier, but because it has some interesting cards inside, I decided to pick it up and share with you in case you hadn't had a chance to see this. We'll stop with where it gets interesting. We all have heard recently about some stealing of artwork, so let's go ahead and talk about it. If you haven't seen it, it's a very interesting story. So let's see what's inside the box. Box, of course, is inside. You have that 2-card collector's sample booster pack, which I'm always a fan of. A garbage cardboard. This goes straight in the recycle, but inside that, for a change, usually they have it separate inside the plastic, or inside the paper, is a spin down counter. I like to save these and give these to people at the store that are newbies. In fact, I will take that one and take that one over to game tonight because someone hasn't played before, I know, is showing up. And you've got some punch-out counters. You've got a little fold-out to explain how Commander works and this clue thing, and explains the Commander. Let's go ahead and some punch-out counters, which I don't use, but it's nice for some new players. And that's it for there. Let's go ahead and look at the actual deck. Zoom in. We'll zoom in and start her up. Okay, these are always easy to open. Something I like about current Magic sets is they come with this thick stock card. Thick stock cards are fun. They're very easy to identify because they are about 3 to 4 times thicker than a normal card. We don't need to get into that one because we have these cards right here. Let's go ahead and put this aside. First one is Nelly Borka, Impulsive Accuser. 1 red, 1 white. 2 colorless is a 2/4 Vigilance. Whenever this card attacks suspect target creature, then goad all suspected creatures. So you get to suspect your own creatures, or you can suspect your opponent's card, so forcing them to attack. That's always great. And then whenever 1 or more creatures an opponent controls deal combat damage to 1 or more of your opponents, you and the controller of those creatures each get to draw a card. So you're rewarding your opponents for attacking someone else. So this is great in multiplayer games, not great in one-on-one. Next one is Feather, Radiant Arbiter. 2 white, 1 red. It's a 4/3 legendary creature. It's an angel with flying and lifelink, and whenever you cast a non-creature spell that targets only this card, you may choose any number of other creatures that spell could target and pay 2 for each of those creatures. If you do, for each of those creatures, copy the spell. The copy targets target that creature. So it's kind of like the Old Feather, except instead of copying itself automatically, you have to pay to copy. It's interesting. It's interesting. I like the Old Feather a little bit better, but beggars can't be choosers for new cards. Some of them are better, some of them are not. Next one is Immortal Obligation. 1 white, 1 colorless, instant. Return target creature card from an opponent's graveyard to the battlefield under their control with a duty counter on it. For as long as that creature has a duty counter on it, it's goaded and can't attack you or a permanent you control, and can't block creatures you control. So this is an interesting way of getting some things on the board that aren't going to be able to hurt you, but is going to do some good for you. Next one is Otherworldly Escort. Is a 1 white, 3 colorless, 4/3 creature human detective with flash. When it dies, if it's not a spirit, return to the battlefield under its owner's control with 4 charge counters on it. It's a spirit detective. It is no longer a human. You can pay a white, a 1 colorless to tap and remove a charge counter. Otherworldly Escort destroys target creature that was dealt damage to this turn. So great little defense card. It would be even better if it had vigilance. Next one is the card I was talking about. I preluded to Trouble in Pairs. Is the reason why this one's a troublemaker is because, not because of the card text, but because someone got through and stole different pieces of artwork from other science fiction in the past. Specifically, this elf that is shown right there has been flopped and was originally used in Cyberpunk 2020. You know, it's well past 2020. It was originally created 25 years ago by a very well-known magic artist. The hand, arm right there was used before, and the head. Man, they went. The artist, Faye Dalton, went through and really used a bunch of artwork from other people, and I think Wizards are going to be in trouble about that. But there's other sources on the internet that could talk about that. I want to talk about the card itself because it is fantastic. Right now, it's going for about $20. And with all the trouble that's going on, I wouldn't be surprised if some collectors will buy more of them because it is a very hot topic right now. For 2 white, 2 colorless enchantment, if an opponent would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead. Whenever an opponent attacks you with 2 or more creatures, draws their second card each turn, or casts their second spell each turn, you get to draw a card. So it is a new kind of smothering tide effect that also makes it so people can't take extra turns. It really rewards you for, like Mr. Remora or Rhystic Study. It rewards you for people playing their deck. So this card's going to be a hot card in the future, and until it has a reprint, I believe Wizards will try to have a reprint to try to make it so people don't see that version as much anymore. But we'll see how long that takes. Wizards works. I think they work almost a year out, so it'll be a while until we see exactly when that gets reprinted. Next one's Redemption Arc. 1 white, 2 colorless. Enchantment Aura. Enchant creature. Enchant creature has indestructible and is goaded. And you pay a white and 1 colorless. Exile enchanted creature. So you go through and you target someone. You can target your own thing to make it indestructible, or you can go through and target the biggest, baddest thing on the board, and it can no longer attack you, and once it becomes a problem, you could just exile it. It's a great card. Next one is Havoc Eater. 2 red, 5 colorless creature elemental. It's a 3/3 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, for each opponent, goad up to 1 target creature that opponent controls. Put X +1/+1 counters on Havoc Eater, where X is the total power of creatures goaded this way. So if you're playing against 3 opponents, if each one of them has a creature in play, this thing has potential of being huge. But of course, it costs 7, so you're not going to see it till later in the game. Next one's Hot Pursuit for 1 red, 1 colorless. It's an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, suspect target creature and opponent controls. Suspected creature is now suspected creature, if you don't remember, it has menace and cannot block. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, if 2 or more players have lost the game, gain control of all goaded or suspected creatures until end of turn, untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. Wow. So it really, as soon as 2 players are gone, you get to pick on the last player with their stuff. Next one's Mob Verdict. 2 red, 2 colorless. Sorcery. Secret Council. Each player secretly votes for another player. Then those votes are revealed. For each vote an opponent received, Mob Verdict deals 2 damage to that player and each creature that player controls. For each vote you received, you get to draw a card. So if everyone chooses you, if they don't want to have their stuff take 2 damage, guess what? You're going to draw a few cards. Next one's Prisoner's Dilemma. I'm a big fan of this card, especially if you have 3 or more opponents. 2 red, 3 colorless sorcery. Each opponent secretly chooses Silence or Snitch. Then the choices are revealed. If each opponent chooses Silence, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 4 damage to them. If each opponent chooses Snitch, the Prisoner's Dilemma deals 8 damage to each of them Otherwise, Prisoner's Dilemma deals 12 damage to each opponent who chooses Silence. Wow, this can get out of control really fast, especially because they can't choose you. This is a great card, especially because it is a voting card. I'm a big fan of voting cards. It's not super effective, but it's fun. Next one is Take the Bait. 1 red, 1 white, 2 colorless, instant. Cast this spell only during opponent's turn and only during combat. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and planeswalkers you control this turn. Untap all attacking creatures and goad them. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Someone attacks you, guess what? Let's go ahead and make it so everyone attacks, someone else attacks someone else with everything they have. Ransom Note, 1 colorless mana. Artifact. It's a clue. When it enters the battlefield, you can surveil 1 and then pay 2 and sacrifice Ransom Note. You can get the cloak, the top card of your library, go target creature, or draw a card. That's usually one of the first cards to get out when someone's building a deck. Not great. Angel of Ruins. 2 white, 5 colorless. It's a 5/7 artifact creature angel with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, exile up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. And then what most people use it for is pay 2 for plane cycling. Go get a planes and put it in your hand. Comeuppance. 1 white, 3 colorless, instant. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to you or planeswalkers you control this turn by sources you don't control. If damage from a creature source is prevented this way, Comeuppance deals that much damage to that creature. If damage from a non-creature source is prevented this way, Comeuppance deals that much damage to the source's controller. Darian, King of Keldor. 2 white, 4 colorless is a 3/3 legendary creature, human soldier, and then whenever you're dealt damage, you may create that many 1/1 soldier tokens. Duelist Heritage. For 1 white, 2 colorless enchantment, whenever 1 or more creatures attack, you may have target attacking creature gain double strike till end of turn. Elspeth's Sun Champion. This one's a great one. For 2 white, 4 colors, it has 4 loyalty counters. It's a legendary planeswalker Elspeth, and it's +1. Create 3 1/1 soldier creature tokens. -3. Destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. -7. You get an emblem. Creatures you control get +2/+2 and have flying. Keeper of Accord. 1 white, 3 colorless creature human soldier. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 soldier token. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you, you may search your library for a basic plains and put it on the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle. This is a great reprint. Lauren, the Third Path. 1 white, 2 colorless legendary creature human artificer. 2/1 vigilance, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. Taps produce tap you and target opponent each. Draw a card. Promise of Loyalty. 1 white, 4 colorless sorcery. Each player puts a Val counter on a creature they control and sacrifices the rest. Each of those creatures can't attack you or planeswalkers you control for as long as there's a Val counter on it. Selfless Squire. 1 white, 3 colorless. Has flash and it's a creature, human soldier. 1/1. Enters the battlefield. When this card enters the battlefield, prevent all damage that would be dealt to you this turn. Whenever damage that would be dealt to you is prevented, put that many +1/+1 counters on Selfless Squire. Savine's Reclamation. 1 white, 2 colorless sorcery. Return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. If the spell was cast from your graveyard, you may copy the spell and may choose a new target for the spell. It has flashback of 5. 1 white, 4 colorless. Smuggler's Share. 1 white, 2 colorless enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, draw a card for each opponent who drew 2 or more cards this turn. Then create a treasure token for each opponent who had 2 or more lands enter the battlefield under their control this turn. Stalking Leonin. 1 white, 2 colorless creature cat archer. It's a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, secretly choose an opponent. Reveal the player you choose. Exile target creature that's attacking you. If its controller by the chosen player, activate only once. Next card, Sun Titan. 2 white, 4 colorless, creature giant, vigilance. It's 6/6. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, you may return target permanent card with mana value of 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Windborn Muse. 1 white, 3 colorless, creature spirit. It's a 2/3 flyer. Creatures can't attack you unless their controllers pay 2 colorless mana for each creature they control that's attacking you. So it's got built-in propaganda. That's great. Agitator Ant. 1 white, 1 red, 2 colorless. Creature insect. It's a 2/2. At the beginning of your end step, each player may put a 2/1/1 counters on each creature they control. Go to each creature that had counters put on it this way. Winds of Wrath. 2 white, 3 colorless, sorcery. Destroy all creatures that aren't enchanted. They can't be regenerated. Brash Taunter. For 1 red, 4 colorless, it's a 1/1 indestructible. When Brash Taunter is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target opponent. And then you can pay a red and 2 colorless. Brash Taunter fights another target creature. Disruptive Decorum. 2 red, 2 colorless. Go to all creatures you don't control. Etale, Primal Storm. 2 red, 4 colorless. Legendary creature, Elder Dinosaur. Whenever this creature attacks, exile top card of each player's library and you may cast any number of spells from among those cards without paying their mana costs. Good card. Fiendish Duo. 2 red, 4 colorless, 5/5. Creature Devil has first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent, it deals double that damage to that player instead. Frontier Warmonger. 1 red, 3 colorless. It's a 4/4. Creature Human Warrior. Whenever one or more creatures attack one or more of your opponents or a planeswalker they control, those creatures gain menace until end of turn. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. 2 red, 3 colorless for a 5/4 legendary creature, Ogre Warrior. Whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, if you, the defending player, create a 3/3 red Ogre creature token unless the creature's controller pays 3 colorless mana. Spectacular Showdown. 1 red, 1 colorless. Sorcery. Put a double strike counter on target creature, then go to each creature that had a double strike counter on it, and then you can overload it for 7. 3 red, 4 colorless to give all creatures double strike and go to them all. Could be a very nasty turn. Vengeful Ancestor. Spirit Dragon. 2 red, 2 colorless for a 3/4 creature Spirit Dragon with flying. And when it enters the battlefield or attacks, go target creature. Whenever a go-to creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to its controller. Next card's Anya, Merciless Angel. For 1 white, 1 red, 3 colorless, 4/4 flying creature angel. Anya, Merciless Angel gets +3/+3 for each opponent who lost life or whose total life is less than half their starting life. As long as an opponent's life is less than half their starting life, Anya is indestructible. That could be kind of nasty. Next card's Boros Reckoner. This card's great. Combination colors: red, white, red, white, red, white. It's a 3/3 creature Minotaur Wizard. Whenever it's dealt damage, it deals that much damage to a target, and then pay a red, white. It gains first strike till end turn. Deflecting Palm. For red and white, it has instant. Target the next time a sorcerer choice would be deal damage to you this turn. Prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, Deflecting Palm deals that much damage to the sorcerer's controller. Gisela, Blade of Gold Knight. 2 white, 1 red, 4 colorless for 5/5 legendary creature. Angel has flying and first strike. If a source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, that source deals double the damage to the player or permanent instead. If a source would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent half that damage, round it up. Ancient Stone Idol. For 10 colorless mana, it's a artifact creature golem. It's a 12/12. And this spell costs 1 colorless mana for each for it to cast it for each attacking creature. So it's your attacking creatures, or if your opponent is attacking you or someone else with attacking creatures, it can come into play for cheaper. Trample, and when it dies, you get to create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with Trample. Sad Robot, Soul Simulacrum, 4 colorless mana, artifact creature golem, 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, put the card on the battlefield tap, and then shuffle. When this card dies, you get to draw a card. Next card, Steel Hellkite, 6 colorless mana, artifact creature dragon for 5/5. Flying costs 2 for fire breathing, so it gets +1/+0 till end of turn. And then pay X colorless mana, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value of X whose controller was dealt combat damage by a Steel Hellkite this turn. Activate only once each turn. Next card is Tomb of Legends, 2 colorless mana, artifact. When it enters the battlefield, put with a page counter on it whenever your commander enters the battlefield or attacks. Put a page counter on this card. Pay 1 colorless mana and tap it, remove a page counter from it, and you get to draw a card. Castle Ardenvale, it's a land. It enters the battlefield, tap unless you control planes. It taps to reduce white mana, and for 2 white and 2 colorless, and tap it, create a 1/1 human creature token. Exotic Orchard, it's a land. It taps to reduce 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls could produce. Furry Calm Snarl, it's a land. As this card enters the battlefield, you may reveal a mountain or plains card from your hand. If you don't, it comes into play tapped and produces a red or a white. Kirkkeep, legendary land, taps to produce a colorless mana. And then for a red, a colorless, and you can tap to create a 0/1 red kobold named Kobolds of Kirkkeep. Next card is Labyrinth of Scophos. It's a land, taps to produce a colorless mana, pay 4 colorless mana, and tap. Remove target attacking or blocking creature from combat this turn. Needle Spires. Enters a battlefield tapped. It produces a red or a white. And then for red, white, 2 colorless, Needle Spire becomes a 2/1 red and white elemental creature with double strike until end of turn. It's still land. Scavenger Grounds. Land. It's a desert. Taps to reduce a colorless mana. Pays 2 and sacrifice a desert. Exile all graveyards. Slayer Stronghold. It's a land. Taps to reduce colorless mana. Red, white, and tap. Target creature gets +2/+0 and gains vigilance till end of turn. Temple of Triumph. It's a land. Enters a battlefield tapped. Enters a battlefield, it gets try 1, and it taps to reduce a red or a white. Throne of the High City. Taps to reduce a colorless mana. Pay 4 and tap it, sacrifice this card, and you become the monarch. War Room, great reprint. It's a land. Taps to reduce a colorless mana. Pay 3 and tap it, and pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity, which for this instance is 2. You can draw a card. Ghostly Prison, 1 white, 2 colorless, and it's an enchantment. Creatures can attack you unless their controllers pay 2 colorless mana for each creature that's attacking you. It's propaganda, but in white. Gideon Sacrifice, 1 white, 2 colorless, instant. Choose a creature or planeswalker you control. All damage that will be dealt this turn to you and permanents you control is dealt to the chosen permanent instead. Martial Impetus, 1 white, 2 colorless, enchantment aura. Enchanted creature is +1/+1 is goaded. When an enchanted creature attacks each other creature that's attacking one of your opponents gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Ozrov Advocist, 1 white, 2 colorless is a 1/4 creature human advisor. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player may put 2 +1/+1 counters on a creature they control. If a player does, creatures that player controls can't attack you or planeswalkers you control until end of your next turn. Next card, Soul Snare for 1 white. It's an enchantment. 1 white mana. Sacrifice Soul Snare. Exile target creature that's attacking you or a planeswalker you control. Seal of Cleansing, 1 white, 1 colorless, enchantment, sacrifice Seal of Cleansing, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Vow of Duty, 1 white, 2 colorless, enchantment, aura, enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+2, vigilance, and can't attack you or a planeswalker you control. Wall of Omens, 1 white, 1 colorless. It's a 0/4 creature wall with Defender. When Wall of Omens enters the battlefield, you get to draw a card. Curse of Opulence, 1 red. Enchantment or a curse. Enchant player. Whenever an enchant player is attacked, create a gold token. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. It's like, gold tokens are just like treasure tokens, just it's gold instead, which is a shame. They lost out on some awesome compatibility for other decks with that. Next cards, Rite of the Raging Storm. 2 red, 3 colorless, enchantment. Creatures named Lightning Rager can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player creates a 5/1 red elemental creature token named Lightning Rager. It has trample haste, and at the beginning of the end step, sacrifice this creature. Too bad they're not goated. Shiny Impetus. 1 red, 2 colorless, enchantment aura. Enchant creature has +2/+2 and is goated. Whenever an enchant creature attacks, you create a treasure token. Vow of Lightning. 1 red, 2 colorless, enchantment aura. Enchanted creature has +2/+2 first strike and can't attack you or planeswalkers you control. Too bad it's not goated. Arcane Signet. 2 colorless mana artifact. Tap, produces a color of anything of your identity. Bloodthirsty Blade. 2 colorless mana. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and is goated. 1 colorless mana to attach Bloodthirsty Blade to a creature an opponent's controls. Activate only as a sorcery. Felwar Stone, 2 colorless mana. It's an artifact. It taps reduce a 1 mana of any color that a land an opponent controls can produce. Mind Stone, cost 2. It's an artifact. Taps reduce a colorless mana and pay a colorless mana and tap it. Sacrifice Mind Stone, draw a card. Soul Ring, everyone's favorite card. Everyone's fast mana. It's probably the best fast mana because it's easy to get and it's super cheap and consistent. Doesn't do damage to you, but that's argument. 1 colorless mana. It's an artifact. Taps reduce 2 colorless mana. Talisman of Conviction, 2 colorless mana artifact. Taps reduce a colorless, or you can tap to reduce a red or white, and it deals 1 damage to you. Thought Vessel, 2 colorless mana artifact. You have no maximum hand size, and taps to reduce colorless mana. Access Tunnel, taps to reduce colorless mana. Pay 3. Target creature with power 3 or less can't be blocked this turn. Ash Barrens, it's a land. Taps to reduce colorless mana. Basic land cycling of 1. Boros Garrison, land. When it enters battlefield, taps. When it enters the battlefield, return a land you control to its owner's hand. Well, that's all negative, but it does tap to reduce a red and a white at the same time. Command Tower, it's a land. Taps to reduce 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Escape Tunnel. Escape Tunnel is a land. Tap, sacrifice Escape Tunnel. Search your library for a basic land card. Put it onto the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle, or you can tap, sacrifice Escape Tunnel. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. Mired Landscape. Land. When it enters the battlefield, it comes into play tapped. And taps to reduce colorless mana, or you pay 2 and tap, sacrifice this card, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards that share a land type, and then put them on the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Reliquary Tower. It taps to reduce colorless mana, and you have no maximum hand size. Rogue's Passage. It is a land. Taps to reduce colorless mana and pay 4, and tap, sacrifice, or target creature can't be blocked this turn. Rogue's Passage is a great card. Sunhome Fortress of the Legion. Taps to reduce colorless mana. It's a land, and it pay a red, white, and 2 colorless. Target creature gains double strike till end of turn. Temple of the False God. Land. Taps to reduce 2 colorless mana. Activate only if you control 5 or more lands. Now the rest is all going to be lands, and tokens. Let's check out the tokens. Construct. There's that Construct token. So 6/12 with Trample. Other side is a 1/1 White Soldier token. Human. 1/1. Other side is a 1/1 Soldier token. Human. Ogre. 3/3. Soldier. Ogre. Soldier. Ogre. Soldier. Kobold of Kirkkeep. Gold. Lightning Rager. Gold. Treasure. Gold. Kobolds of Kirkkeep. Gold. And the Monarch. And of course a nice little card for telling you what you do on your turn and popular Magic formats, which if you've been watching this video, you know about popular Magic formats. On to the last thing is the Collector Booster Sample Pack. Let's see what's inside. I'm glad they added these in because getting some extra value and seeing what a sample collector's pack. First one is Krenko, Baron of Tin Street. For 1 red, this happens to be the showcase version. It is a legendary creature, Goblin, 3/3 with haste. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on each goblin you control. Whenever an artifact is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay a red. If you do, create a 1/1 goblin creature token. It gains haste till end of turn. It's not a bad addition for this deck. And the other one is another type of showcase. This one's Slice from the Shadows. 1 black to X colorless instant. The spell can't be countered. Target creature gets -X/-X will end of turn, where X is the extra X. Well, fun. Hope you guys enjoy this video. I know I wasn't planning on making it until the whole issue with the Trouble in Pairs card. I'm a big fan of that card. I'm glad I got it. Hope you guys get a copy of it before another version comes out, though it is kind of expensive right now. Well, until next time, I hope you have a great day and keep them rolling.
And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please take the time to like the video and subscribe if you'd like to stay updated. Have a great day and keep them rolling.